The Mystara project is proud to present Part 17 of the Creatures of Mystara series. In this part we look at one of the largest mortal creatures in the multiverse, the Aurati. The Aurati were introduced in the 1987 module, M4, 5 Coins for a Kingdom, on page 39. Aurati are typically 600-foot-long creatures, resembling giant goldfish. With an armor class of 9, they can readily be hit. But they have from 100 to 600 hit dice. They avoid combat. They move by relatively slow flight, at the same pace an unencumbered human walks. They can be encountered in groups of 1 to 12. They have a base 95% chance of making any saving throw. They have an unmotivated morale of 6, and have been known to buck their passengers off their backs if endangered by combat. They have animal intelligence of 2, and display many behaviors that are prevalent among horses. Being animals, they have no treasure and are neutrally aligned. As killing an Auratus is a tedious, but otherwise straightforward task, they only have an XP value of 5,000. Aurati are only found on the outer plane of Eloysia. So technically, they are a creature of the Mystaran multiverse, rather than a creature of Mystara itself. There they function as transport ships for up to 1,000 passengers between the various floating island worlds that make up the plane. The creature's back is rough enough to provide numerous handholds for passengers. An Auratus can be controlled by kicking a tiny sensitive patch on its head just behind its eyes. Riders can form the same sort of bond with an Auratus that riders form with horses. Auratus flying in the sky above can be hailed like taxis. They have no natural enemies. Every few months they fly to the extremely hot inner shell of the plane, to feed on the porous rock found there. Their scales are extremely fireproof to allow them to survive the heat. Once the Aurati consume the rock, they then drink the rain from one of the many storms in the plane. The rock and water combine to create hydrogen and nitrogen, which are stored in the abdomen. When the Aurati fly, they expel the nitrogen from the gills beneath their abdomen. Due to their nitrogen, they fear flame, and their riders are careful not to use flames. They live for over 100 years, mating about every 5 years. To mate, all Aurati capable of breeding fly to the center of the solar system, only a few miles from the sun. There they mate for 3 weeks. Then the males return home, whilst the females swim through the plenum for many months to the edge of the holosphere plane. After many more months they give birth to a solitary young. Apparently they do not lay eggs. Mother and baby then swim back to the center of the solar system where they meet up with the father who has returned to help wean the baby. Once weaned, the young Auratus makes its own way in the plane. Aurati numbers are relatively low due to their slow birth rate. They are therefore highly prized, and usually only owned by elites. Aurati were designed to act as a way to provide mass transport between the island worlds of the outer plane of Eloysia. In Module M4, the ruling wizards hail one from the sky for the player characters to ride on for their mission to save the city of Solis, and to be in a position to battle Jahan the Conqueror. Creating an Auratus is beyond mortal magic users, unless they can cast a well-worded wish. They might be too large to go through planar gates. So, encountering one outside the plane of Eloysius would be highly unlikely. Additionally, they might not last long without porous rock, and they would not be able to breed, without access to the Eloysian inner shell conditions. Perhaps, the nitrogen expelled from an Auratus could be a difficult component required for a powerful magical creation relating to flight that the characters need to obtain. This concludes our look at the gigantic flying goldfish of the outer plane of Eloysia, known as Aurati.